Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 8th Annual Womentum Leadership Summit entitled, Embracing Our Roots, Together We Rise. My name is Kristen Fox, and I am the Executive Director of Womentum. This is the only portion I'm so happy to be here with you all. The room is just vibing with energy. This is the only portion of tonight's event that is going to be in English, as we are very proud to bring you our first ever keynote in Spanish with live interpretation. I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors who are here tonight, who play such a critical role in Womentum's success. With their support, we are able to provide affordable programming, scholarships, and increased access to our programming. Our platinum sponsors are Singleton Peary Financial and the Jackson Hole Travel and Tourism Board. Our diamond sponsors are Bank of Jackson Hole, Silver Star Communications, and the Jackson Hole Airport. Our emerald sponsor is St. John's Health. Our gold sponsors are Teton Orthopedics, Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, River Story Coaching and Consulting, and Holland & Hart. Our in-kind sponsors are Jedediah's, the Wart Hotel, Mountain Modern, and the Jackson Hole News and Guide. We all have a unique path to the summit of our potential, and this year's event celebrates each of us owning that path. Often our journey towards leadership requires being uncomfortable, just like climbing a harsh and unforgiving mountain. Our journey also requires us to see things from new perspectives, and it is in this spirit of new perspectives that I'm grateful for the format of tonight's keynote to provide such an opportunity. So, I hope you will enjoy the view as Patty Soto takes us through her journey in life into some of the world's highest mountains. And with that, I would like to welcome first to the stage Womentum board member and Womentum alumna, Lena Collado, who will say a few words of welcome and then introduce our guest tonight. So please help me welcome Lena Collado to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. I will first speak in Spanish, and then I will speak in English. Buenas noches a todos y a todas. Voy a hablar primero en español y luego en inglés. Gracias por estar aquí en nuestra 8ª cumbre de liderazgo de Womentum. Mi nombre es Lena Collado, soy puertorriqueña y residente de Jackson desde el 2013. Hoy tengo el privilegio de presentarles a Patty Soto, una líder cuyo trabajo empodera a las mujeres de todo el mundo. Pero primero, quiero compartir un poco sobre Womentum y el impacto que ha tenido en mí personalmente. Como latina y vicepresidenta de la Junta de Directores, Womentum ha sido una fuente de conexión e inspiración, lo que me ha permitido crecer y aprender junto a esta comunidad. Me uní por primera vez al programa de Mentoring como aprendiz en el 2017 y la experiencia fue transformadora. Cuando me uní, buscaba sentirme parte de una comunidad y buscaba una conexión femenina para desarrollar mis propias habilidades de liderazgo. Lo que encontré fue una conexión inesperada con mi cultura e idioma natal, una relación con una mujer increíble que me ayudó a sentirme parte de esta comunidad. Desde entonces, sigo conociendo a mujeres líderes y amistades fuertes que son una inspiración para mí y para otras personas de nuestra comunidad. Después de un año de participar en el programa, me había conectado con otras mujeres con las que quería compartir mi música favorita, mis caminatas favoritas por el parque y compartir partes de mi vida. El apoyo que encontré me dio la confianza para querer regresar como mentora y empoderar a otras mujeres en sus propios viajes. Este crecimiento finalmente me llevó a unirme a la Junta de Directores, profundizando mi compromiso con nuestra misión. Hoy en día, los programas de Womentum continúan inspirando a cientos de personas dentro de nuestra comunidad, con más de 500 exalumnas que se apoyan entre sí. Hoy en día, cada programa de Womentum al que asisto me hace sentir que puedo conquistar el mundo. Y al mismo tiempo me mantengo firme y conectada con esta vibrante comunidad. Si esta es su primera vez asistiendo a un programa de Womentum, les recomiendo que al acabar esta presentación busquen un folleto o información para poder aprender más sobre esta increíble organización. Es un placer contar con líderes como Patty, cuya visión se alinea tan bien con la misión de Womentum. El viaje de la vida de Patty es extraordinario. Con más de 20 años de experiencia trabajando a nivel mundial, ha dedicado su vida a guiar a las mujeres por caminos de profunda transformación. Ha ayudado a innumerables mujeres a descubrir su verdadero potencial, desarrollar una confianza auténtica y dar pasos grandes hacia sus objetivos. Su trabajo va más allá del desarrollo profesional habitual. Se trata de construir la persona en su totalidad, abrazando la empatía, la autenticidad y la resiliencia interior. Como fundadora de Compass Road, Patty estableció una organización que redefine el liderazgo centrándose en la humanidad y en la sostenibilidad. Su visión es poderosa y resuena profundamente, no solo dentro de los círculos y comunidades empresariales, sino también entre las mujeres que están reimaginando sus propios caminos y desafiando los límites tradicionales. A través de su trabajo, Patty ha otorgado las herramientas que necesitan para liderar y tomar decisiones que cambian sus vidas con propósito y convicción. Patty Soto también es reconocida en Chile y en Sudamérica por su faceta como mujer deportista, recibiendo numerosos premios por sus logros. Patty fue la primera mujer chilena y suramericana en escalar el monte Everest y completar el circuito de los 7 picos más altos de todos los continentes. El evento de hoy, completamente en español, con interpretación en inglés, es un hito significativo para nuestra organización, nuestra pequeña comunidad en Jackson y un testimonio de nuestro compromiso continuo hacia la inclusión. Me siento muy orgullosa de que este evento sea en español, mi primer idioma, y ofrezca oportunidad increíble para que nuestra comunidad experimente nuevas perspectivas, como mencionó Kristen, y represente a nuestra comunidad diversa. Gracias a nuestro personal de Womentum, a Kristen y a Elizabeth, por todo su arduo trabajo para hacer este evento una realidad. Sin más demora, por favor, únese conmigo para darle la bienvenida a Patty Soto, una verdadera defensora de la transformación y el liderazgo auténtico. Thank you for being here at our 8th annual Womentum Leadership Summit. My name is Lina Collado, and I'm a Puerto Rican and Jackson resident since 2013. I have the privilege of introducing Patty Soto, a leader whose work empowers women worldwide. But first, I want to share a bit about Womentum and the impact that it's had on me personally. As a Latina and vice chair of the board, Womentum has been a source of connection and inspiration, allowing me to grow and learn alongside this community. I first joined Womentum's Womentoring program as a mentee in 2017, and the experience was transformative. When I joined, I was looking to feel part of a community and was looking for a female connection to develop my own leadership skills. What I found was an unexpected connection to my home culture and language, and a relationship with an incredible woman who helped me feel part of. Since then, I continue to meet strong female leaders and friends who are an inspiration to me and to others in our community. After a year, I had connected with other women with whom I wanted to share my favorite music, my favorite hikes around the park, and share parts of my life with. The support I found gave me confidence to later want to return as a mentor, empowering other women on their own journeys. The growth ultimately led me to join the board, deepening my commitment to our mission. Today, Womentum's programs continue to inspire hundreds within our community, with over 500 alumni who support one another. Each Womentum program I attend leaves me feeling like I can conquer the world, all while staying grounded and connected with this vibrant community. If this is your first time attending a Womentum program, I recommend that at the end of this presentation, you look for a brochure outside so you can learn more about this incredible organization. It's a joy to have leaders like Patty, whose vision aligns so well with Womentum's mission. Patty's journey is extraordinary. With over 20 years of experience working globally, she has dedicated her life to guiding women on paths of deep transformation. She's helped countless women discover their true potential, develop authentic confidence, and take bold steps towards their goals. Her work goes beyond the usual career development. It's about building the whole person, embracing empathy, authenticity, and inner resilience. As the founder of Compass Road, Patty established an organization that redefines leadership by centering on humanity and sustainability. Her vision is powerful and resonates deeply, not only with corporate circles and communities, but also with women who are reimagining their own path and challenging traditional boundaries. Through her work, Patty has equipped women with the courage and tools to lead from their true selves and to make life-changing decisions with purpose and conviction. Patty Soto is also recognized in Chile and South America for her role as a woman athlete, receiving numerous awards for her achievement. Patty was the first Chilean and South American woman to climb Mount Everest and complete the circuit of the highest peaks of every continent. Today's event, entirely in Spanish with English interpretation, is a meaningful milestone for our organization, our small community in Jackson, and a testament to our continued commitment to inclusivity. I feel uber proud to have this event be in Spanish, my first language, and offer an incredible opportunity for our community to experience new perspective, as Kristen well mentioned, as well as represent our diverse community. Thank you to our Womentum staff, Kristen and Elizabeth, for all of their hard work to make this event today a reality. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Patty Soto, a true champion of transformation and authentic leadership.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I don't know, can you hear me well? Okay.
This will be in Spanish. This presentation will be in Spanish. I hope the headphones are working. I'm going to speak slowly so that those that want to practice their Spanish can. I am very happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation. I really love Jackson Hall. It is not the first time I'm here. I've come several times, and in every opportunity, I have left with a full heart because it is a very special community that lives here in Jackson Hall. But this presentation, I titled it Beyond the Summit, Treasures and Challenges on Mountain Roads. Why? I'm not going to really focus specifically on each mountain I climbed or each technical challenge I faced. What I want to share is my life. How is it that I started as a girl who never thought about climbing mountains, and how I have gotten to where I am today, and how mountains changed my vision? And how is it that I started in a country where I was surrounded by just men in this mountain environment? And how is it that I slowly made room for myself? Where you can see I'm super tiny. I am 1 meter 56 centimeters, and I would be there, and my clients were 1 meter 80, and they would look down on me and said, "Wait, you're going to take us to climb the mountain?" I said, "Yes, I am your guide." Oh, uh-oh. What did we get ourselves into? So I'm going to share a little bit about that. Let me get the thing so that I can advance my slides very well. Well, this is the first time I speak a lot about myself. They wanted me to share my background, and this is what I do because mountaineering came to me kind of by accident. I always did activities in the open doors with my family. My parents loved doing that, but not climbing mountains. We would just do outdoor activities. And when I started in the university, I studied social work. I'm a social worker. You had to take some kind of athletic, and I took gymnastics, and I said, "Oh, you know what? This is great. I'm gonna finish quickly, but there was no room. And then a friend said, there's a sport that's called mountaineering. I said, mountaineering? What does a mountaineer do? Well, they climb mountains. But why would they climb a mountain? I mean, they look very nice from below. And well, here I am. It changed my life. I finished my studies because I think that what we start, we should finish. But I had some challenges because every Monday I would get to the university super tired. I would fall asleep in class because I had spent the entire weekend climbing mountains, going over hills, waking up very early. But that's how it got started. This is a picture of my family. It's my brother, a cousin, and me. And I share it because I think my mother sees that picture and she never imagined that her daughter would be a mountaineer and spend her time traveling the world. I like to share this because sometimes there are people that from the start, they have a very clear vision for what they want to do. And there are some like me where life changes you, where life gives you surprises. And I think we should have plans, but we should give room for the surprises that life will hand us. And I also like it because people say they're joking that I have a broom because I'm a little witch. And, I always had that broom with me. And with that, I can fly and transport myself to different places. And in part because family is key. If there's something I have learned, is the value and the importance of family and good friends. I haven't climbed mountains by myself. Maybe I've been up there by myself. Maybe I've walked by myself, but I'm not alone. There's an entire team that's with me. And within that team, my family has been key. Very well. When I started mountaineering, I liked it. It wasn't comfortable. And I started to reach summits to those mountains near my country. I started to travel to Peru. I started to compete. I started to compete with other women. I wanted to be the best. And that was motivation for me. No, I'm going to wake up first. I want to be the first one at the summit. And I started to compete. I liked to get to the top. The curiosity of what's beyond that. In Chile, there are many volcanoes, and the craters is something that started to fascinate me. Every crater is different. And that was a motivation for me. And another motivation that I had was the people who I started to meet in these trips. People that if they saw me on the street, maybe wouldn't even say hello. Or people I wouldn't have an opportunity to meet if I wasn't on the mountain. Something else that started to fascinate me is that the mountain doesn't care about the color of your skin, about your last name, where you were born, the language you speak, how much money you have. We were all the same, and gender doesn't matter either. And that is something that also fascinated me. The conversations that we started to have there, where people would come together, maybe people who had different political stances, but we had something in common. And we started to focus on that, on what we had in common. And because I'm curious, and I realized that I was good at everything that has to do with mountains, I started to set goals in other countries because I also started to enjoy the cultural aspect, to meet different people that think different from the way I think. And that is where the idea was first born for me to work. And I have a compass here because I think that in life, many times I achieve a task or I'm doing something and I get lost. And it's very important to have a goal and have a compass. I love the meaning of a compass, that it orients me and helps me find the way. And then I'm never lost. But why do I mention this? Because when I started, I decided to be a guide and start to travel to other countries. as a guide. And as I mentioned, in Chile, there were no women guides. The majority were men. And those that worked in the mountains that were women worked in the kitchen, in the camps. The first women I started to see in the mountains were from this country, from Canada, from Europe, and there were a few of them, not many, but they were there. But in Peru, Colombia, there weren't many women guides. So I was entering a new world, one that, as I said, the clients would look down on you, a woman, oh, how weird. It was very different, an unknown world, but I started to surround myself with people that supported me. Here I'm showing pictures of my country so that you can see it. And I love the northern part of Chile because there's something that you can see, this vastness where you feel alone, but you're really not alone. And that is why community is so important. What Momentum does here, joining, connecting. Sometimes we think we're alone and we're the only ones, that we're the only ones that are going through a problem or a challenge, but it's not that way. Sometimes we see it in a different way, but it's not. Here's an example. I started to be a guide, and again, this was a challenge for me because I was in mountaineering in the university. There were many, you know, classmates that would do things one by one. And of course, they would help you, but they didn't realize that by helping you, they weren't doing you any favors. They weren't helping you. They were reducing your ability. But we're responsible for that too, right? How different was it for me to start to be a guide and be in charge of everything? All of a sudden, I had to decide what we ate, what we wouldn't eat, what route we would take, what clothing we should wear, and start working in other languages. At the time, I didn't speak English. And that was, again, one of the first challenges I had when I started to lead and guide people. I didn't speak English. I got to a certain point and I didn't continue to rise because I didn't speak another language. And I was in meetings with very interesting people and I couldn't communicate with them. So then I traveled to the US for the first time for that reason. I arrived in Houston and I was already lost because there were no mountains to guide me. Nobody told me that Houston was flat and very hot. But I arrived because I had a very good friend who allowed me to come to her house and helped me enroll in Rice University, where I did the English as a second language program. This helped me. And it also opened another world. That's why I think it's incredible when there are so many people that are making an effort to learn Spanish. I think that learning other languages opens a new world for you. So I started to guide once I spoke English, and this gave me the opportunity to travel more, to be able to meet more people, to be able to see beautiful places like this one. And I came to realize that it wasn't just the mountain that I liked, it was everything. It was everything. And the competition all of a sudden changed. One day I woke up on a mountain, I think it was in Huayna Potosí in Bolivia. We were ready to go to the summit. My cart friends had a bad night. They had been vomiting all night. And it was time to go to the summit. And I said, you know what? I really don't want to go. I know I can get to the summit, but I don't want to. I don't want to leave my companions here by themselves. And I remember that I got up and I said to the chief of the expedition that I wouldn't go. They challenged me. They couldn't understand why I didn't want to go. I was crying. But for me, this was a crucial moment because that is when I made a decision and I realized that I needed to climb mountains for myself and not to show others what I'm capable of doing, but to do it for me because I like it, because it's what I want. And I can decide if I'm going to climb it or not, how I climb it and who I climb it with. In that moment, I wanted to stay with my companions. What was more important, the summit or my friends? I think people will always be more important. The mountain will be there, and you can always come back. And I started to apply this later with my students, my clients, because unfortunately on the mountain, I also learned that you can see the good and the bad in people. Face, our masks fall, and everyone starts to show their true selves. And I have to say that one of the things I didn't like was being on mountains and see people that are dying, and people would pass them by. Sorry, I can't help. I'm headed to the summit. It's my only day. Or I'm sorry, you're not my client. You're not my problem. My life also changed in terms of how I understood mountaineers. I would see them as gods, great people connected with the world, with the planet. And I realized, no, they're human, like the rest of us. And we can be good or bad or whatever, wherever. And I decided that mountains will never come before people. And here I start to see, I started to show that is some of the pictures, because within what I was fascinated by within the mountain world were the people that lived in the mountains, because in my country, not everybody lives in the mountains. We go and we visit them. But there are people that live there, and they have another type of relationship with the mountain. And for them, it's weird to see people like me that climb the mountain and leave. They don't understand it. And they're like, why are you going? What's the point of that? It's cold. To me, it's very interesting to see a group of herders meet the Cherpas, the Aymaras in the Peru zone. Get to know all of these people that live in mountains in other places. And then also seeing the challenges. Something that I really like is that I didn't go and climb one mountain and go home. I went to see the countries and meet the people that lived on those mountains. Because that's what would bring me more than the mountain itself. The people that live in the mountain and the relationship they have with the mountain. For example, in this image here, we see something that I think is even more important than the summit, and that is being able to share with the local people. Here's a barbecue, and have conversations with people who are vegan. For somebody who raises their animal and then kills it and eats it, it's part of their diet. Speak to somebody who doesn't speak meat, they don't understand it. And vice versa, and be able to have those type of conversations, explain, share, and respect each other, the different points of view. This is something that has been great. And to get questions directly and be able to share, where are you going? Why do you travel? Why do you do this? Why that? It's something that I love about the mountain. This is an image where I'm with my students, and I am with herders in Chile, because every time I take the students as well to climb a mountain, this piece is key, in my opinion. For me, going to a mountain, climbing it, and having no opportunity to even meet the people that live there or share in the culture, you're missing out on a huge part of the experience. Different challenges. Yes, I climbed Everest. I did all 7 summits. I went to Antarctica. That was very challenging. I'll share that later. How is it that I was able to achieve that? Because it's not an easy place to reach. But I also had other challenges because I realized that height was not my thing. I didn't do well. But rock climbing. Oh my goodness. I know that there are many good rock climbers here, but for me, it's very challenging. But at the same time, and maybe because it is challenging, I love doing it because it's a challenge. It challenges me in a different way. It forces me to focus. It forces me to seek strength within myself, something that I didn't know I had. And it forces me to trust my climbing partner in a way that I can't just trust anybody. Why? Because we make a mistake here and the result is death. To a mountain, I can go with anybody, but to rock climb, I don't go with just anybody. I choose a little bit better who my partner will be. But I love it and I continue to do it and I miss it. This is something that brought me back to the US as well because Yosemite is Yosemite with its story and everything. And I always wanted to know what it was like to sleep on a wall hanging. That was something that again presented another challenge. You can see me. I think I didn't sleep at all night, but I tried it because it's very weird to be hanging and sleeping. Whoever says that's normal, no, it really isn't. It has nothing to do with things that are normal. But this picture here, I have it because this was the first time that a group of Chileans met in Yosemite. A group this big, it's not easy to come to Yosemite. And yes, I am talking about people coming from Chile to Yosemite. And something else that I liked were the different generations. There are 3 generations represented here and 3 different styles of climbing the mountain. Some very quickly during the day, others with a lot of weight, several days, others easier routes, maybe more difficult routes, some others. It was very nice to also be in a diverse group that shared one same passion. Unfortunately, from this group, there are 2 who are no longer alive. They had rock climbing accidents and they passed. And that was something else that the mountain taught me in a very severe way. When your first friend from the mountains passes, I had that experience, and unfortunately, I had to give the family the news. And this also changed something within me. I always said, oh, I want to die on the mountain. I want to love or die doing what I love. But no, I don't want to die in the mountain. I don't want to die doing what I love. In fact, the opposite is true. Why? Because it's a place that has given me so much love and has taught me so much. I want my family to continue to remember it as a wonderful place. I don't want them to connect it to a bad experience. And every time I go, I am a part of a group that runs risks, but I know what my risk limit is. And that is what I also try to teach my students because I believe that my life is worth more than a summit. Everest, here's a picture of Everest. Today, again, I have to feel that I went in a time where not a lot of people would travel to Everest. Now, too many people go. So I feel that I'm very privileged as I feel to be here today. Time passes and we were just laughing that now I have to use glasses to read. I have gray hairs, we're getting older, but I love it. I love the moment in life that I'm living because this is a privilege. There are people that are not privileged enough to reach this age, and that's a privilege. And it's an honor. I would have loved for some of my friends to make it to this age, but they're no longer here. I think we should be grateful for what we have and the opportunities that we have. This is kind of an old picture. It's from a slide. I come from the time of slides, and it's to share a little bit of the team that joined me on Everest to this opportunity because I want to share or emphasize this concept of team, how important a team is, and who you go and do things with. We continue to be friends. And it's interesting that the woman that has the purple band, we never thought we were going to be neighbors. And we live next door to each other. The world is definitely a small place. They all continue to be mountaineers and do many other activities. When I climbed Everest and when I finished the 7 summits, many people asked me, well, then what's next? Well, then came rock climbing, then came many, many other things. But guiding mountains, I said, gosh, I have a desire to share all of this in a different way, not just with my clients, but reach other people. And this is where NOLS arrived at my life, the National Outdoors Leadership School. We have some colleagues here. I'm glad they're here. I had studied when I was young, and I wasn't one of the selected, and it was fine because they asked me to be 2.5 months out, and I was still dealing and doing other things. But later in my life, when I was 39 years old, I decided to go for it again. And I said, how? 39 years old? Are they going to accept me? And they did. And for me, this was wonderful because I started to work in education. And this is what has brought me here today. I am in education. I work with youth, with women, teaching not how to be a mountaineer. Maybe they'll be a mountaineer, but as it was mentioned here by the person that introduced me, I am more interested in becoming better people, developing other skills. If they're mountaineers, cool, chill, bacano, that's a Chilean word. But for me, something that's more important is that they become better people. Because that's what we need in this world. People that make decisions, as I learned there too, and for them to live with the consequences of the decisions that they have made. That's important. And to start to share the beauty of these places. I'm going to come back. These two pictures here are from Alaska. Alaska has a nice part in my heart. I think it's a wonderful place for those of you who know it well, but if those who don't, I recommend that you visit it. And it actually looks a lot like Patagonia, which is where I live. So now we see pictures from Patagonia. This is where I live, not in these mountains, but very close. Because people ask me, what's my next mountain project? I have them, but beyond my mountain project, the key is who am I going to go to those mountains with? I enjoy the mountains more with my students nowadays. My heart is filled when I see the eyes of my student when they see a glacier for the first time, when they walk over a glacier, when they see a condor fly by, when they feel the wind on their face, which I imagine many of you who work in education or do this kind of activities, you feel that. The freedom. Look at the freedom that we have and the responsibility that's implied in that freedom. When you get to know places, you connect with all of your senses. And when you're connected with all of your senses, you start to worry and you start to care for them. Words, they're carried away by the wind. I realized that taking my students to these kinds of environments would make them more conscious about the planet that we share. Because that's what happened to me in the mountains. They gave me a kick in the bum and said, we don't need you up here. You want to take care of us? I need you down there where people who don't know us are. Teach them to know us. And that's why I came back down. And that is why I am in education. As I said, working with them. And they make me laugh so much. I love working with the youth, really with people of all ages. But that charisma that they have, that us as adults, sometimes we forget. Problems start to weigh down on us. They get into our backpacks and we forget to laugh and laugh about simple things. Do jokes. And they remind me of this every single day. That life is less complex than we think. We complicate life. Our own thoughts hold us back sometimes. All of those no or I can't, they come from within us. I don't have a lot of money. I come from a middle-class family, and I was able to travel the world. And that was just me looking, researching, how can I do it, and get ready for that. And what do I like now? That I have the opportunity to teach, where I see kids that cook for the first time, that leave home for the first time, that start to share, that start to discover things that moms, those who are parents, know, how they start to discover. And having these opportunities, I think, is magical. Well, of course, mountain has its risk. We have to teach how to read it or live it, enjoy it. I love glaciers. I love them. For me, they are like sleeping dragons. They make noise, they have their own life. They're amazing. I see different colors. I see different shades of white. I'm like a private investigator looking for craters. And I had to learn it because since I'm so small, they always put me up front because if I fall into a crater, it's easy to pull me out. But since I don't like to fall into them, trust me, I quickly learned how to detect these crevices. I'm not going to fall. This is not something I enjoy that is. So I developed the skill for survival's sake. And here again with students sharing the importance about communicating, looking each other in the eyes. This is something that with the arrival of technology, we're starting to forget, leave it behind. But it's so important to look each other in the eyes and share experiences. My new challenges. Oh, and by the way, start writing down your questions because at the end, we're going to have question and answer. My new challenge is preparing professors. I'm preparing professors now because not being happy with just taking students now for a long time, I started to see this already in other countries. It's hard for me to understand how like physics classes or math classes are taught in closed classrooms when nature is the best classroom. So I'm trying to teach professors, give them tools so that they can have more outdoor activities. I'm not expecting them to go and do trips every day. Just come outside of the facilities, go out to a nearby plaza, or start to take advantage of the nature and the environment that we have at our disposal. Here is another picture as well. Once again, showing the community that develops and how beautiful it is. The topic of friendship is also something that was challenging for me at first because when we travel a lot, we start to lose the connections. Here we talk about our roots, right? And this is something that I realized that if we want to conserve a friendship, a relationship, we have to make an effort. We have to be present. We have to be constant. We have to be there. And this is something that we have also been working on. We work with the students. We keep track of them. We stay connected. We try not to lose that contact. Here's another mountain, the Manaslu, if anybody is familiar with it. It's also another beautiful mountain. I love it. This is my home. I have slept more in a sleeping bag than in a bed. That is why I love the hotel here because you have no idea how much I enjoy sleeping on a bed with sheets and have a shower with warm water where I just turn the faucet and it comes out. Magic. This is magic. Magic for me. Because you know that we have to melt snow, that it's cold. And in fact, being here with not a lot of layers is wonderful. Always have to be very covered and protected. I love home and a good meal. Things that we do. on this journey here. I am here with a TV program. It's an image from that. For 4 months, I was able to live on it and travel on a boat with 4 people, traveling South America through the ocean, sharing a little bit about the culture from my country as well. And again, this was a challenge being with so many people in a boat. I really thought about expedition behavior and all of these things about the importance of teamwork and patience that we have to have because we all have different customs as well and habits, but it was very nice as well. The image on the side is Mr. Irando Real, who is a member of Patagonia. Unfortunately, he has passed, but he lived isolated. We were the only people that would arrive at his home. Do you know what it's like to live on your own and to have visitors once a year? And he lived in such a simple way that we would arrive with our students drenched, dirty. And the first thing he would do was open the doors to his home and come, everybody come in. Very little food, and he would share absolutely everything. To me, this is priceless. How often have we been in other places and we need something and nobody has extended a hand? And these people who are so humble, they have nothing and they give it all. Mr. Heraldo, there, he actually became famous after because he lived a simple life, a very simple life. He said, I don't need a lot to be happy. And how many of us are sometimes not happy even with everything that we have and we want more? A great person. There aren't many Don Heraldo Reales in the world anymore. My next challenge, again, with training professors. And I don't know how I like to get between the horse's legs. That's an expression in Chile. I get into the rivers, I'm kayaking, and this is something that scares me. It's not my thing. But I have already fallen. I got tumbled around. It was very scary, but I also love the sea. We have such a beautiful planet. And the sea, rivers, having the opportunity to travel and be self-sustainable in a kayak, have everything you need for a month. And that's where we realize how little we actually need in life to live. That's my new challenge as an athlete. I don't like water. I don't like to get wet. So I'm very good when it comes to balancing on a kayak because I do everything possible not to flip over. I always imagine that a shark is going to come out of the sea and, weird things. I've watched too many movies, too many horror movies, but I love it. These places, these moments, this picture here is in Antarctica. And I share it more to say that I don't like climbing by myself anymore. It's been a long time. Now I love doing it with my students or friends. Climbing on my own, it's really not attractive to me anymore. Sharing knowledge. And I'm finishing with this picture and I'm about to wrap up because something else I learned from all of these trips is to start to love the other inhabitants of these places as well. This is a puma, a cougar from Patagonia. And you all know that many of them are in danger of extinction. And I love the bears here, by the way. I've had an opportunity to see many bears here. But, I realize that they also need our support. They're also inhabitants. And in fact, they've been in many of these places a lot longer than we have. And that's what I love about education. Maybe I'm not going to protect them, but my students are already doing it. because through the connection, they have started to connect with them too. To me, this is something unexpected. Fire. How important it is. The unity it creates between us all and what it means, because we all, the flame, it calls us, it attracts us as humans. That's why I have it. Because, doing these kinds of activities, it's so nice to sometimes just talk around the fire. We need to converse and really listen to each other and be curious about what others are sharing without judgment. And really open our minds to other styles and ways of thinking. I thank the interpreter. I don't know how it's going. We're about to close. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow, I'm going to share more about the mountains and other things, but today I wanted to share a little bit more about the journey. How is it that I also discovered that my style of mountaineering was different? At first, I would compete. I followed a style that wasn't mine. And then I realized that I had my own style, my own way. And it was just different. Not better, not worse, just different. And that's what I share. I enjoy other things, and that's fine. Sometimes I go to the mountain, I climb it, summit, and I go to the summit. And sometimes I go and I just sit there and look at the flowers, and I'm happy. And I think that's very important. Discovering that, realizing what we want and not what other tells us that we need to do or that we want to do or that we want or we should want. Sharing my experience and, as I've traveled the world, something that I realize is that we can look at the most beautiful places. I've always been asked, what is the most beautiful places that you've been? I can name many. It's difficult to choose one. But something that I realize is that the most beautiful place is the one that I share with the people I love. That is truly the most beautiful place where I am and can be. Because if I'm by myself in these places, no. It's the place where I'm with the people I love. That makes the place the most beautiful. That's what I want to end with. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Patty. We are now excited to invite Daniela Peterson to the stage. She is going to help facilitate question and answer. For those of you hearing the interpretation, you may now remove your headphones. And Daniela will help translate, so you may ask your question in English or en español. So with that, Elizabeth has the catch box, and so please raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question.
Thank you, Daniela. Estuvo bueno. Hablé despacio igual para... Okay, any type of questions is gonna be okay.
¿Por qué decidiste...
¿Dónde está? Ok, gracias.
¿Por qué decidiste subir las montañas?
Why did you decide to climb the mountains?
Oh, porque me gustaba, quería ver qué había arriba de ellas.
Because I really wanted to see what was out there.
Y mirar desde ahí al infinito y más allá.
And to look from there to the infinite and farther than that.
How old were you when you first climbed a mountain?
Oh,
¿Qué edad tenías tú cuando empezaste a subir las montañas?
yo creo que tenía 12 años. 12.
Think about 12,
Pero profesionalmente,
But professionally?
ya 17.
17.
O sea, amor. I like that.
What was your favorite mountain that you climbed? 7 summits or not?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
What was her favorite mountain to climb?
¿Cuál fue tu
7?
montaña favorita para subir, escalar?
But just from the 7? Es una buena pregunta.
¿Cuál fue la montaña favorita que subiste?
Tengo un especial cariño por el Parinacota, volcán Parinacota.
I have a special love and affection for the Parinacota volcano
Ese está en Chile, al norte,
that is in northern Chile.
y me gusta mucho porque está en el altiplano, tiene una laguna a sus pies
And I love it because you have
La
the
energía.
lake at your feet.
y la energía que se siente
And the energy that you feel
es muy especial.
makes
Es
it very
limítrofe
special.
con Bolivia.
¿Puedes repetir eso?
Es limítrofe con Bolivia.
Okay, and that's in the border with Bolivia.
And it's one of my favorite.
Oh, cool.
Yo puedo hacer la pregunta en español. Mi pregunta es, yo creo que a todos nos sucede que cuando escalamos una montaña y se hace difícil, nos queremos rendir. Y queremos decir, esta fue la peor idea de mi vida.
I'm going to ask my question in Spanish, but I just want to know that whenever we start climbing the mountain, sometimes we
Rendir.
just want to give up
Y pensamos que fue la peor idea.
and we think it's the worst idea we ever had.
¿Qué son algunas de las cosas que tratas de pensar para no rendirte?
What are some of the things that you think about so you don't give up?
Ya, gracias. Ay, mira, yo creo que muchas veces me levanto y digo mala idea también. Digo, ¿qué estoy haciendo acá? Porque
I think so many times I ask myself, what am I doing here?
y creo que una de las cosas, soy muy buena para dormir.
One of the things is I'm really good to sleep. I love sleeping.
So, creo que muchas de las montañas las he subido durmiendo.
In so many mountains, ¿puedes repetir eso?
Que muchas de las montañas las he subido durmiendo.
Okay, so many times I think I climbed the mountain sleeping.
Sí, y cuando despierto ya estoy muy arriba y no me puedo devolver.
And when I wake up, I'm all the way up there and I can't go back.
No, es una broma, pero ¿qué pienso normalmente es,
What I usually think is,
o sea, ya estoy aquí, ya salí de casa, ya di el primer paso,
I'm already here, I left my house, I took the first step.
Vamos hasta el final y
Let's keep it going
démosle,
until the end.
Focus, me enfoco.
Just stay focused.
Y olvido como todas las otras distracciones y
And I try to forget all the things that are distracting me and just keep going.
sí, es como me enfoco mucho en la meta.
Stay focused on my goal.
Sí.
Hola, primero que nada, muchas gracias por ser una gran inspiración, creo que para muchas mujeres en este espacio. Creo que mi pregunta como una mujer latina que está apenas en su vida adulta explorando estos espacios de la naturaleza, de estar afuera.
Hi.
I got you.
First of all, thanks for everything. I think you're very inspiring and I have a question.
I forgot you were interpreting, Annie, sorry. As a Latino woman, now you can go to Spanish. Como una mujer latina que está apenas explorando estos espacios de
As a
estar
Latino
afuera,
woman that is just starting to explore these spaces,
¿qué consejo nos darías como adultas explorando estos nuevos horizontes?
what advice would you give us as an adult woman to start exploring these spaces.
Que salgas, que vayas, que te rodees de personas que tienen un conocimiento igual básico, porque igual hay que aprender un poco de navegación, de conocer un poco las montañas, cómo funcionan, pero sale, no dejes de ir porque la naturaleza es tan hermosa, es tan sanadora, te va a llenar la vida. Es de verdad.
Just go out there, but just surround yourself from people that know the basic knowledge so you know what you're doing. But just get out there and just start doing it.
No, dale.
Don't throw it.
Sí, hola.
¿Alguna vez has subido los Tetons?
Have you ever climbed the Tetons?
No.
Really?
Sorry. Bueno, tengo que volver.
Next time, I need to come back.
Sí. Bueno, tengo que volver. Por ahí tengo una invitación.
Sí. Oh, someone already invited me to do it.
Sí.
¿Cuál ha sido el mayor de los retos al que te has enfrentado y cómo lo has solucionado?
Tell me about the biggest challenge you ever had and how did you solve it? How did you manage that?
¿En la vida en general?
Pues
In my life in general or?
Pues en este caso me gustaría saber cómo subiendo alguna montaña o algún reto que tuviste y que dijiste, pues ahora lo tengo que hacer así, ya no salió como yo lo tenía planeado, sin embargo, como tengo que llegar a la meta, pues ¿cuál fue la solución que le diste?
Okay, when you were climbing and when you were thinking about, making it to the goal, so how did you solve that, the challenge?
Creo que una de las cosas que he aprendido es voy todo el tiempo viendo las distintas opciones.
One of the things that I have learned is that I'm always looking at different options.
Sí, entonces como que soy muy flexible también.
I am very flexible.
Y cuando pasa algo que no tenía pensado, créeme que siempre sé que hay una solución.
When something happens, I always know there is a solution.
No o sea, voy a dar un ejemplo. Voy en una ruta y la ruta está complicada. Yo no pienso en qué tan complicada está, si la puedo hacer o no la puedo hacer, sino que mi pensamiento es ¿por dónde voy a ir?
Whenever I'm taking a route, and I think it's complicated, I'm not thinking that, is this complicated or not? I'm just thinking, how can I do this?
Voy por aquí, me voy por
So
allá.
I go this way, the other way.
Pero siempre busco las soluciones.
I'm always focused on the solutions.
Ahora eso es con rutas, creo que otro tipo de desafío que ha sido más difícil para mí manejar.
Another kind of challenge that it was really hard for me to manage.
Cuando ha muerto alguien en la montaña.
When someone has died at the mountain.
Y es alguien a quien conozco.
And someone that I know.
Que es un gran cambio.
That's a big change.
Sí, no conmigo, pero en el grupo que tú conociste, que estaba en otra expedición.
Not with me, but from a group, people that I know from a previous expedition.
Eso es difícil. Porque,
that is very hard.
A veces hay sponsor, tienes que seguir, pero se murió alguien que conociste, alguien que tienes cariño.
Sometimes you're sponsored and you know you need to keep going, but you know someone that died.
Hay gente que decide seguir subiendo en honor a la persona que
Sometimes
murió.
people want to continue climbing in honor to the person that just passed away.
Un desafío grande para mí y yo al final descubrí que cuando alguien muere en la montaña, yo me voy.
That's a big challenge for me, and what I've learned is that when someone dies in the mountain, I just leave.
La dejo descansar y me voy.
I let it rest and I
Si
leave.
bien es cierto, he estado con sherpas que han muerto que no los conozco, pero esa persona es importante para alguien. Entonces, ¿cómo sigo yo subiendo la montaña? No sé si me entiendes. Eso ha sido un desafío difícil para mí. ¿Qué hago?
If I know for Sherpa that just died, I know they have a family, they have people that care about them. So that's hard for me, so I just leave. That's a big challenge for me.
Más que las rutas, problemas de esos son temas humanos, los más difíciles.
More than finding the right route or the way that I need to keep going, it's just those kind of situations.
No sé si respondí tu pregunta.
I don't know if that answers to your question.
Gracias.
Aquí. Igual de chiquitita que tú.
I'm as little as you are, so I'm here.
Basándonos en algo más filosófico y menos de necesidad básica, ¿qué es algo que nunca más tomarás como garantía después de tanta historia y de tanta experiencia?
Moving towards something more philosophical, what is something that you would never take for granted?
Una buena pregunta.
Very good question.
Como buena garantía. Que no doy porque es seguro. ¿A eso te refieres? Que no.
That I don't take something for granted, that's what you mean? Yeah, after so many experiences, something that you'll never take for granted again.
Es una buena pregunta. Yo creo que voy a volver a casa. No lo sé.
¿Puedes repetir eso?
Que voy a volver a casa.
Okay, thinking that I'm going to go back home. I'm going to go home.
Porque no lo sé.
I don't know that.
Por eso trato de vivir cada momento al máximo.
That's why I need to enjoy the moment to the most.
Porque uno no lo sabe.
I don't know.
¿Respondí? Sí.
Sí.
Pregunté si respondí.
Yeah. Do you think that I answered to your question? Yes.
Hola. Aquí.
Gracias, que me pierdo con las luces.
Como mujer que también ha trabajado como guía, de hecho en Chile, con otras mujeres hemos tenido la experiencia de, como contaste, de llegar al trabajo, que llegan los hombres gigantes, te miran, se ríen y tienes que ganar su respeto.
As a female guide, I also, did you say you went to Chile? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, I also went to Chile. Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Yeah, I can also say it in English, sorry.
It's okay.
Went really far. As a female guide who also worked in Chile, I have had a similar experience of showing up to work and having big men look at you and laugh, and you have to earn their respect before you move through your day as their guide.
También como mujer guía que he trabajado en Chile también me ha pasado que hay hombres grandes que me miran y se ríen de mí, como que no hay un respeto.
Y veo que, como contaste la historia, te ríes y tienes como una actitud muy positiva. Y para mí y para otras mujeres creo que nos cansamos de eso, como sentir un poco de rabia en estos momentos. Y quiero saber si en algún momento sentiste como muy que eso fue un desafío muy grande o muy difícil, o cómo tienes esa actitud positiva.
I heard you saying, I mean, you laugh at it, you laugh when, the guys were like making fun of you, but I feel like I get tired of that. Was that a big challenge for you? How did you handle that? Do you get tired of that?
Yo creo que todos en algún momento estamos cansados de eso, pero también me di cuenta que, pucha, es su problema.
I think we are all tired of that, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's their issue.
No es mío.
It's not mine.
No es mío, no. Sí, no. Me di cuenta, o sea, al principio yo también me enojaba, me molestaba y la pasaba mal. ¿Pero y por qué? Tengo que pasarla mal por algo que es su problema.
At the beginning, I used to be angry, I was frustrated, I didn't have fun with it, but I've learned that it's their problem.
Sí. Entonces yo ya no pesco. Nada. Como decimos en Chile, no pesco.
Now I don't care.
Sí, yo hago lo que sé hacer y sigo adelante, y la montaña me ayuda porque al final hago bien las cosas.
I
y, voy,
do
y
know.
camino rápido y ellos están después. Y yo
I do what I know how to do. I just keep doing it, and the mountains help me. And at the end of the road, I mean, they're tired, and I'm not. I just keep going.
Entonces, solitos uno se va ganando el respeto y ya después te miran con otros ojos.
Little by little, you earn their respect, and they look at you in a different way.
Sí, así que no pesco, como decimos
I don't
en
care.
Chile. No, vamos, que se puede. Sí. Allá, gracias.
¿En algún momento de tu vida alguien alguna vez intentó impedirte hacer lo que amas?
At any moment in your life, in any moment, did anyone try to prevent you and stop you from doing what you love?
No una persona, sí. Ay, cuando murió mi primer amigo de montaña, desarrollé un trauma.
Not one person, but when my friend died in the mountains, I developed some trauma.
Y desarrollé crisis de pánico.
And I started developing panic attacks.
Y la crisis de pánico me impidió ir a las montañas.
And the panic attack prevented me from going back to the mountains. How old were you?
Yo creo que fue justo antes de ir de 30 años.
30 years old.
Y fue terrible, porque no me atreví a salir de casa, sentía que me iba a morir. Si hay alguien aquí que ha sufrido crisis de pánico, está aquí en la cabeza, uno siente que se va a morir.
It was terrible because I didn't want to leave my house. I was just feeling like I was scared, and it was all in my mind. I felt like I was going to die.
Entonces, más que una persona, fue ese estado, y yo también dije, bueno, comencé a trabajarlo. No puede ser que esto que se mete en mi cabeza me impida hacer lo que más amo en la vida.
More than one person, it was my state of mind that prevented me from doing that. And I couldn't believe that my mind and what was happening to me was stopping me from doing what I loved.
Y comencé a trabajarlo. La crisis de pánico, aprendí que una vez que llega a tu vida, se queda para siempre.
And I started working on the panic attack, but I learned that once the panic attack comes to your life, they stay there forever.
Sí, te puedes asegurar. Pero aprendí a vivir con ella, y ahí está, y logré controlarla y volví a las montañas. Porque dije, no puedo permitir que algo que además está en mi cabeza me impida hacer lo que más quiero. Eso fue más lo que me impidió que una persona propiamente tal. Por eso que he aprendido al final que todo está en la cabeza.
But I was able to learn how to live with that, to manage it and handle it. And then I went back to do what I wanted. But it's all in your mind. You need to be able to manage that.
Nuestra cabeza puede ser nuestro mejor amigo, nuestro peor enemigo.
Our mind can be our best friend or our worst enemy.
Hola, buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Muchas gracias por compartir con nosotros aquí. Nos comentó que le fascina, que le encanta conocer a la gente, a esas comunidades que viven en montaña. Y le quería preguntar si tenía un ejemplo en particular de una comunidad o una familia o una persona que le ha impactado de manera positiva en sus viajes.
Hi, thank you for being here with us and sharing. You mentioned that you really enjoy spending time and getting to know people in different communities. Is there one in particular that you... ¿Puedes repetir eso, por favor? ¿Hay una en particular que te gustó más conocer?
Hay una comunidad o una familia, una persona que le ha impactado en particular.
Is there a community, a family, or person that impacted you the most?
Maybe, yo creo que quizás por eso me gusta el volcán Parinacota.
Maybe that's why I love the Parinacota volcano.
Porque ahí hay grupos Aymara.
¿Habían grupos qué?
Hay grupos Aymara.
Okay. There were some groups, I don't know how to translate that. That doesn't have any translation. Aymaras. like it's indigenous,
Sí,
you know,
Aymara
group of
is the
people.
name, like Sherpas, Aymara.
Yeah.
Sí. Que cuando yo estuve ahí, también lo mismo, sin conocerme, me recibieron en su casa, conocí cómo vivían, la simplicidad con la que estaban. Y yo en ese tiempo estaba ya con los síntomas de crisis de pánico y ellos comenzaron a ayudarme también a volver a la montaña.
When I was there, they opened their house, they let me in, they took care of me. Even when I had my panic attack, they were helping me.
Sí. Y el respeto que tienen por la montaña, que ellos lo que sacan de la montaña, le devuelven algo a la montaña, también con mucho cariño y con mucho respeto.
And I learned from them that whenever they take something out of the mountains, they return it back to the mountain.
Por eso cuando me dicen, vamos a conquistar una montaña, también cambió para mí, porque ¿quién soy yo para conquistar una montaña?
So when I had the thought, like, okay, I'm going to go and conquer the mountain, who am I to conquer the mountain?
Y las montañas no se conquistan, las montañas se viven, se aman, y al revés, yo siento que las montañas me conquistaron a mí.
You leave the mountains, you enjoy, you love them, but it was the other way around. They conquer me.
Y eso lo aprendí con ellos, con esa familia en especial, en la forma en que tenían y cómo.
And I've learned with that family.
Sí, me gusta mucho esa cultura.
I love that culture.
Especial. Está en todo el norte de Chile, Bolivia, sur de Perú.
They are in northern Chile, Bolivia, and Peru.
Gracias.
¿Has logrado formar tu propia familia con tanto viaje por el mundo?
Buena pregunta.
Have you ever been able to form your own family with so many travels in your life?
Debe de ser muy difícil, ¿no?
Must be very hard, no?
Sí, pero yo tengo muchas amigas igual ahora que hacen lo mismo que yo y tienen sus familias, con hijos, con todo, y llevan a sus hijos a hacer todas las actividades.
Yes, but I have so many friends that they're married, they have their children, and they do exactly the same thing I do.
Sí, pero en mi caso, yo tomé la decisión, yo estuve casada.
In my case, I used to be married.
Sí, por 17 años.
For 17 years.
Y tomamos la decisión, porque fue una decisión mutua, de no tener hijos.
We made the decision it was a mutual decision to not have children.
Que ya fue extraño en mi país.
¿Ya fue qué?
Extraño en mi país.
And that was already very weird in my country.
No es común.
It's not common.
No es común, al menos en mi cultura, no tener hijos. It's
not common. They're expecting you to have children.
Pero yo sentía que yo no era para eso.
But I felt that I was not set for that.
Y no me arrepiento para nada porque tengo tantos hijos, mis alumnos. No sé, yo vine a cumplir otra función.
And I don't regret it because I have so many children, my students.
No. Tengo mucho respeto por las madres, mucho. Pero yo creo que yo tenía que cumplir otra función.
Perdón, ¿puedes repetir lo último?
Pero que yo creo que tenía que cumplir yo otra función.
Yeah.
No creo que mi trabajo sea un impedimento. Tampoco.
I don't think my work is an impediment for me to become a mother.
Porque lo he visto en mis amigas que tienen hijos y salen y las cuidan y se turnan, tienen muy buenos esposos también que entienden esto. Simplemente hay que organizarse de una manera diferente.
As I said, my friends that do the same thing I do, they talk to their husbands, they take turns, they just leave, their kids stay with their spouses, and so they can do it. You can do it.
La comunidad ahí también es importante.
The community is really important.
Yo termino cuidando los hijos de mis amigas para que puedan ir a la montaña.
I was also babysitting my friends' kids so they can go to the mountains.
Sí. Sí. No.
And you didn't mention your dog, Patty.
Sí.
No mencionaste tu perro.
Sí, tengo un perro. Bueno, y tengo un novio también.
I have a dog, I have a boyfriend.
Mi novio se enoja porque dice que siempre acuerdo del perro primero.
And my boyfriend always gets mad because I always think about my dog first.
Sí. Y mi novio tiene 3 hijos.
And my boyfriend has 3 children, so.
De su primer matrimonio.
From his first marriage.
Sí. Creo que estamos.
Okay. Thank you.
Muchas
You're
gracias.
Thanks a lot.
Gracias a ustedes. Gracias. Gracias. Gracias a ustedes. Muchas gracias.